Why have I got this on, and how could I have almost lost my eyesight? Wrestling. Watch the video to find out. So I recently got busted open 3 times in 3 consecutive matches. I got stitches, and the result is this pretty cool scar right here. I feel like Solid Snake. But if wrestling's fake, like we get told when we're kids, then how did I get busted open? And why did you need stitches? In today's video, we're answering that age-old question of if wrestling hurts. So, does wrestling actually hurt? What do you think, Revan? Tell them, does wrestling hurt? Yes. Yes, it does. So the goal of wrestling isn't to intentionally harm your opponent. The goal of wrestling is to make it look like you are intentionally harming your opponent. Really good pro wrestlers are really good at making it look like they are hurting their opponent without actually doing too much damage to them. That's why we get this displayed on WWE programming.
Don't try this at home.
But why would WWE need to display this kind of messaging if what we were told when we were kids, that wrestling is fake, is true? Well, believe me, from someone who is a wrestler, wrestling hurts sometimes. When things go wrong is when wrestling hurts the most. But even when things go right, there's certain things that we just cannot avoid from being painful. So in this video, I'm going to take a quick look at what some of those things are. Number 1, bumping. Every single time that you see a wrestler hit the mat, whether it's from a clothesline, a body slam, a back elbow, a suplex, a DDT, a bulldog, coming off the top rope, no matter how somebody hits the mat, the canvas, the ring, that hurts. And unless you've ever taken a bump in your life, it's very hard to describe what that sensation is. Now, as wrestlers, we almost develop a callus to that. So if you were wrestling on a weekly basis, if you're training on a weekly basis, you can go into a match, you can go into a ring, you can go into a training session, and you can take bump after bump after bump, wrestle multiple times through the week, and you almost just get used to that feeling. However, after a little bit of a layoff, or if you're brand new to wrestling, bumping is super, super painful. And unless you're Goldberg, you're going to be bumping in every single match. All we have to do as wrestlers is literally accept that this hurts, this is part of the job, this is part of the show, and you get on with it. Number 2, strikes, punches, kicks, chops. Do these things hurt? If done rightly, punches and kicks shouldn't hurt. Headbutts shouldn't hurt. Back elbows, clotheslines, things like that shouldn't hurt. They should have the illusion that they hurt. Throwing a punch, someone selling it, registering it that they're being hit, throwing a punch with aggression. That is the kind of thing that, as a fan, as a viewer, as a spectator, you look and you can just appreciate, you can very easily relate to being punched, and you know it's going to hurt. When things go wrong, that's when it hurts. Working with a newbie or somebody inexperienced, somebody green, who doesn't know how to throw strikes properly is a nightmare. 1, because the strikes that they throw will look like crap. So as an audience member, it will look like it doesn't hurt. But as a wrestler taking that strike, it will hurt. The art of wrestling is to make things look grander, bigger, more elaborate than they are. So you'll exaggerate a punch, unlike a boxer or some kind of martial arts where they'll throw punches legit. The art of wrestling, you will kind of exaggerate that. And the reason for that is so fans 10,000 seats back can still see the action, can still see the show, and to make it more of a spectacle. That's what wrestling is. It's entertainment, sport entertainment. When strikes are done poorly, they won't have this grand look. They will look pretty crappy, but they will catch someone, they'll bust someone's lip, give them a black eye, bust a nose, break an orbital bone, do some serious damage, and they will look far worse than what they are. Number 3, something that you probably don't even consider as a fan, running the ropes. The first time that a new wrestler, a trainee, gets into a ring and hits those ropes, their back will be stinging, their back will be cut and bruised for days. And this can even apply to experienced wrestlers running the ropes or in a ring that uses cables instead of ropes or ropes instead of cables. Just like bumping, Our bodies are not designed to be launching ourselves into ropes or launching ourselves into cables, to be rebounding off them, to run in the opposite direction, to bounce off those as well. So just by this movement of hitting the ropes, you're going to feel some pain, you're going to feel a stinging sensation in your back. But just like we mentioned with bumping, your body will develop a callus to that, and after time, you just don't even notice it. Number 4, weapons, gimmicks, hardcore matches. Surprisingly, some of the stuff you see in hardcore matches are some of the things that look the most dangerous, look the most painful, but do not hurt at all. A good example of this, which I've covered in this video here, you can check out, is what does it feel like being powerbombed through a table? It's like being hit with a garbage can or a trash can. Very, very minimal damage, but it looks pretty cool as an audience member. The things that hurt the most when it comes, at least from my experience, the worst weapon that I've ever been hit with was in a tag team match. It was a hardcore tornado tag, and it was jumper cables. This stung like mad, was very painful, welted me back up, so it was painful for days after. But from an audience spectator point of view, it was garbage. It wasn't visual. It made no noise. The audience weren't impressed with just being whipped. It's hard to relate to a jumper cable. 1, because who gets hit with jumper cables in real life? 2, they're not an often used weapon in wrestling. Whereas, yeah, we don't get hit with chairs in real life if we're not wrestlers, but because they're so ingrained in wrestling culture, we are conditioned as audience members to know that being hit with a chair hurts. Jumper cables, very painful, very poor crowd reaction. 0 out of 10, would not recommend. Number 5, general wear and tear on your body. So as a result of wrestling, whether it's bumping, running the ropes, anything I've already mentioned in this video, just the physicality of wrestling and impacting with somebody else, then weightlifting, if you go to the gym on top of, obviously Shreddy goes to the gym, look at me.
Jacked, stacked, daddy.
One of the biggest wear and tears that, again, fans will not think of, but it's one of those biggest things that contributes to pain, believe it or not, is sitting in a car for hours on end, driving to a show, or having somebody drive you to a show and you're a passenger in the car, just being hunched up in that seated position for 3, 4, 5+ hours, especially if you don't take a break on that journey. You're running late, so you don't have time to stop off. You're trying to head home and get home as quick as you can because it's late, so you don't want to stop off. Just being hunched up in that seated position in that car, your back will start killing, knees will be hurting, hips will be tight, and then this general pain, these general aches, will contribute to wear and tear when you are performing in the ring, when you're lifting in the gym. And it's little things like this that over time can just niggle away, niggle away, niggle away. And you might not get injured from it, but it's just going to cause pain long term over time. And we're finishing the video off at the hotbed of professional wrestling, Weatherby services. And this is why we do it. Not for this, but for the love of wrestling, chasing that dream, doing whatever it takes. Wrestling sometimes doesn't go as we expect it to, just like life doesn't go as we expect it to. What's important is if you want something, if you enjoy something, you gotta just keep plugging away, keep on grinding, hope and pray that something comes off from all the hard work. If you want to see more of these wrestling videos, and if you want to know if getting slammed through thumbtacks hurts, check this video out here, subscribe to see more, and until next time, remember, this ain't no gimmick, it's a lifestyle.